Joining us now, Congressman Mike Pence, a moderate Republican, a friend of the show. He represents Indiana. It's a state that I would say is as red as it is blue, which means I don't know if it's pink or purple or what it is, Congressman. But hey, how are you? Let's talk about Indiana and how you look at your constituency as somebody who's effectively a fiscal conservative, believes in investment, innovation, and hard work, at the same time understanding the need for some kind of a safety net to deal with the provision of health care and education to the people in this country one way or the other. What do you feel your constituents need to see tonight?
Well, I think we need to see the President of the United States step up to the podium in the Well of the People's House and prove that he's listening to the American people. I mean, the American people, quite frankly, are tired of the borrowing, the spending, the bailouts, the takeovers, and they want the President, I believe, to step up tonight and to say we're going to set aside these big government schemes in health care, work in a bipartisan way on some incremental measures at a lower cost. We're going to set aside these plans to raise your taxes during the worst recession in 25 years, and we're going to focus on putting our fiscal house in order, and we're going to focus on the kind of measures that have always and will always create jobs. I mean, I really think the American people want to see the President take a very different approach tonight and prove that he's listening to the American people. Yeah, the
White House press secretary obviously making the rounds, as always, and particularly so today. Robert Gibbs was on Morning Joe this morning and acknowledged the President's frustrations during his first year. Take a listen to this.
He will talk about that, and he will talk about how he wishes Washington had changed more quickly, and his frustration around the fact that it hasn't.
What everybody's watching, and again, forget any finger pointing, we all saw the data last year. It was the record year for lobbying in this country last year. We also watched a lot, because of the transparency, the internet and all the rest, everybody gets to see everything now. It's crazy, right? So when you cut a deal with the union, everybody sees that. You cut a deal with the drug companies, everybody sees that. Whatever the deal may be, left, right, center, up, down, you see it. Lobbyists all in spent $2.5 billion last year.
Yeah, well, it's very frustrating to people, and you know, it's been frustrating from the standpoint of House Republicans, frankly, Dylan, because you know, even till very recently, the administration and Democrats in Congress talk about special interests stop the health care bill. You know, the President talked about running into a buzzsaw in Massachusetts. You know, the buzzsaw he ran into is the American people don't want a government takeover of health care paid for with hundreds of billions of dollars of mandates and higher taxes. I mean, that's the reality. The special interests, to your point, were in the room.
No, I get it, but let's do healthcare another day.
Deals.
I guess what I'll say is, listen, does the President clearly have room for improvement? Obviously he does. Do people in the White House have room for improvement in the way they're dealing with not only communication, in my opinion, but the way they're dealing with policy on banks and healthcare? I agree. Absolutely, they can do it better. At the same time, is there incredible amount of criticism to be offered up by the American people of their legislator, of their senators and their congresspeople, period. Forget who the President is, and is there question in the minds of Americans whether the Congress, left, right, center, up, down, senator, congressman, is working to solve fundamental structural problems with systems in our healthcare from 42, the filibusters from the 50s. We have all these systems, whether it's in the healthcare, energy, education, defense, that go back 50 or 60 years, and so much has changed, and yet the government hasn't.
Yeah, but Dylan, I want to tell you, when I was with the President back middle December in the cabinet room, it came around to me, and I talked to him about Muncie, Indiana, and I said, Mr. President, I got to tell you, back in Muncie, Indiana, families are cutting back on their family budgets. They're getting a job in the evenings, on the weekends, and they see Washington, D.C. under Democratic leadership in the House and the Senate increasing domestic spending by 12%, growing government in the areas of health care, raising taxes on energy. And I looked at the President, Dylan, and I said, Mr. President, back in Muncie, Indiana, people are feeling like Washington, D.C. just doesn't get it. And I believe that. And I think tonight the great challenge for the President, and you know, I pray for this President and his family regularly. I want to see this President redirect the course of the government of his party in Washington.
I forget his party.
But I really do believe it's about getting it with the American people.
But we need it from you. We need it from him. We need it from everybody. Let's forget Red Sox, Yankees. Let's go, you know?
Yeah, let me be clear. And you know, Dylan, we've invited the President to come and address our House Republican retreat this Friday. We invited him. He's coming this Friday. We're going to have a freewheeling exchange of ideas. We'll hear the President out when we meet in Baltimore. We're going to present to him all all of the better solutions that Republicans offered last year that were unilaterally rejected. I got to tell you, that was the one thing Ed, and the Ed Show is popular. It's not my cup of tea, but he's good radio and good TV. But look, Ed just said the president ought to consider shutting Republicans out. Ed, newsflash, House Democrats in this administration have shut Republicans out of the entire process in the House and in the Senate for the last year. What the American people want us to do, what the president used to say on the campaign trail is, let's bring everybody in the room, pull the best ideas, whether they're Republican or Democrat ideas, focus on putting our fiscal house in order and creating jobs. And as evidenced by our inviting the president to our conference retreat this week, Dylan, we're ready to do that.
Yeah, listen, that's fantastic. I look forward to talking with you about it over the course of the year and years to come. Congressman Pence, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.